Hi everyone, this is Joan, and I hope that you're having a wonderful day. I'm pretty sure you haven't been able to avoid the controversy of, last year around this time. You know that Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. Now, I don't believe in idolizing anybody, so I didn't like either one of them that much. I didn't dislike either one of them either, but they okay. I liked Independence Day. I have liked pretty much everything that I've seen that Will Smith did, and I also liked Chris Rock. I liked his movies also, except for the last one that was kind of like Saw, and people, it was just various ways people tortured people. I couldn't even watch the whole thing, and it was so different from how he usually does things. But that's an aside. Well, I saw the special and I'm surprised I actually saw it the day it came out because usually I'm just not paying that much attention. But anyway, I did see it and I thought it was really funny. Now, I had done a video last year when Will Smith first slapped Chris Rock. And at first, I think that I looked at it and thought, is this a skit? Until, you could see how Chris Rock was kind of shaken by it. And the video I did was, what sucks being an Aquarius, and I stand by that. It sucks being an Aquarius. But I was glad he stood back up, waited a year, got paid for it, and then gave his opinion. I thought, all right, use those brains, as far as Chris Rock. But I do wonder, is this a cover up? I mean, it's kind of like the one thing black people could say that we didn't generally do was have family feuds, not ongoing ones, like the Hatfields and the McCoys. But now the two superstars we had are at it, and from what I've seen, now this is the seventh. I've seen where Jaden Smith has come out and said he's gonna spit. At least that's what I heard. He's gonna spit on Chris Rock, and that Jada Pinkett said, "Hey, I don't have anything to do." Now, this is allegedly. This is what I saw somewhere. I don't have anything to do with what's going on between Chris Rock and Will Smith. And I thought that's pretty peculiar. Aren't you married to Will Smith? I don't know. It just seems to me that okay, Will got his preference, and when the going gets rough, she's like, she doesn't even call him husband, with my man. I don't have nothing to do with what's going on with my man, even would have been like, well, I am acknowledging that, yeah, even when he's down, I'm with him. She says, hey, I had nothing to do with what's going on between Chris Rock and Will Smith. So, oh, well, that's odd. But then Jaden, their son, comes out and says, well, when I see him, I'm going to spit on him. I don't know. Y'all are just odd. I never really thought much about I'm from the hood, but maybe I am because my thought when I first realized that Will Smith was not playing when he slapped him, this was not a skit, was who slaps people? Men don't slap. If you're that upset, you take it to the street. I don't understand this. And anyway, who goes to a comedy show and gets mad at the comedian? That's why I would never, back in the day, if I had been old enough, I would never go to a Millie Jackson concert because while I really liked her message and I liked her albums and things, but if you go into her audience, you're subject to attack. You just are. You're getting paid to see her. You're getting dressed up. You're trying to look good. You go there, and if you don't meet her criteria, you might get talked about. So my solution is don't go. So I feel the same way, or I felt the same way from the beginning of this whole situation that, you know what, even though you're superstars, Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, if you can't stand the heat, stay out the kitchen, stay home. You don't have to go. Or, if I was in their position, I would have said, cool, I'll go, but I'm sitting in the back. Y'all don't have to notice me. I notice me. That's enough. I don't have to always be in the spotlight, but that's me. I just think the whole thing is sad. Like I said, that's the one thing we were able to say, well, we don't do that. Can't say that now because these people's families are getting into it. And I know it's old school, but it seems like people have totally forgotten the idea of humility. Like if I kick you and you kick me back. Well, okay, tit for tat, we're even. I understand. I don't like being kicked, but I shouldn't have kicked you. Got it. Cool. That's perfectly reasonable to me. So I feel like, okay, uh, Will Smith smacked him. He's a small guy, I'm referring to Chris Rock. He couldn't smack him. If he could have smacked him back, it just wouldn't have had the same impact. He could have waited until he turned his back, and since that microphone stand has a long reach, he could have done something then, but he didn't. So he fought back the way he could. And like I said, I think it's pretty smart. He waited a year and got paid for it. Getting paid for your opinion is a wonderful thing. I think, okay, cool. I see how you got that far. Shoot, that was good. And I liked his comedy show. I feel like if you go in front of millions of people and slap somebody, you should expect that they aren't going to like it. And that, if he was a violent type of person, you might have been hurt right after you did it. But he is more of an intellectual type of person. And I think dignified. I think people don't really think of Chris Rock and think of dignity. But I think maybe now they will because he did behave in a very dignified manner. But the thing is, I saw this on, I can't remember whose video show. They were referencing this woman here. And I'm sorry, what is her name? Candace McDuffie? Yeah. And she was saying that this is an insult to all black women and something about the femicide rate. Now, I'm aware of the black femicide rate and all that. And I believe that women, you have been given, black women in particular, if you are a Hebrew Israelite and stuff. Well, in that case, the Savior said when he was talking to a bunch of women, cry for yourselves. So I think anytime a woman comes out and starts telling you, hey, it it hurt when you talked about me or you did this to me and when he was speaking specifically to the women who were following him. So I have no problem with women saying this is not correct, this patriarchy is not correct, this male domination. Cool, got it, understand it, agree. But I feel like Chris Rock was not saying all black women. He was not like a rapper, where when they say B's and H's and stuff, generally since they're black men, you kind of think that they are addressing other black women. Chris Rock wasn't doing that. You knew specifically who he was addressing. So I can't agree. I totally don't agree with this idea that he attacked black women, and I don't understand why people don't give him credit for the movie he made. He was the one who exposed that the chemicals you're using, black women were using to straighten their hair, was harmful, cancer causing. He's the one who told you that, but nobody wants to give him credit. And that's again why I say it sucks being an Aquarius. It's not easy. You walk up and try to tell people, hey, you know what? Fire's hot. Don't touch that. Then they want to curse you out. And you like, did I make the fire hot? I tried to help you. So, like I said, I've always been on Team Chris in this particular instance. Um, because, I understand. I feel like, you're not trying to be controversial. The man was trying to do his job. He went up and people said, we will pay you to crack jokes. And like any sane person, he said, cool, I'm gonna cash that check. I got this. Then he gets up and does his job. And somebody who he has worked with in the past, and as he said, he loved him, comes up and smacks him upside the head in front of everybody. And some people blamed Chris. How are you going to blame him for doing his job and then getting smacked in front of millions? And then my thing is, I think that there is a certain lack of humility. I really think among the Smith family because you know, I was talking to my sister. I'm the youngest, and I was telling her I always wanted, well, not always, but I thought it might have been fun to be the oldest. Because if you're the oldest, nobody can ever take your position. You are the oldest. They can have 50 million more children, you are still the oldest. Whereas if you're the youngest and your parents are still young, your position can be taken from you. But I thought being the oldest would be cool because you get to tell everybody else what to do. Like, as my sister, my oldest sister, was constantly, um, what is it, beating her chest and saying, I am the eldest. So I thought, hey, cool. I wouldn't mind doing that. And my thought was also, I would have felt like, you know what? You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. But I should have added a preface if you are correct. To me, you're doing something wrong. You're going out and doing something crazy. No, I will not support you. And what's more, I feel like you have violated the family dignity. That's another word you don't hear about anymore. Dignity. That is, you go out there and rob a bank, I will not help you. You have violated what we stand for. We don't do that. We appreciate that the Heavenly Father provides, and I think when you go out there and you steal, you are saying that you don't feel He provides for you. We don't do that. So, as far as Jada, Jaden coming in saying, "Well, I'm gonna spit on you because you ruined my family," he didn't. Chris Rock didn't ruin your family. Chris Rock told a joke, and he told on his special, he told many jokes, but he didn't start this. Now, I thought some of what he said was kind of mean, but I also feel like if you smack a man in front of 50 million people, shoot, he might be mean. You should kind of expect that kind of stuff. I think humility would be for Will Smith to say either tweet, hey, I understand, leave it at that, or say nothing. I think that if I was Will Smith, I'm sorry, I'd have been headed for divorce court a long time ago. No, you're a bad influence on me. You get me up here embarrassing myself, smacking another black man in front of all these people. And then you stand back and say it's time for healing. Like what does that even mean? I mean, and then you come out and say, well, hey, you know what? I didn't have nothing to do with this. What? You're the one who made the face that everybody is looking at thinking, well, that's the reason why uh, Will Smith jumped up on stage and smacked Chris Rock. And I still think their names are very interesting. I mean, Chris Rock, that's kind of close to Christ the Rock. And Will Smith, Will is short for William, which is like Will I am, and Smith is Freemasonry, you know. So I don't know. I think the whole thing is probably some sort of spiritual thing, but I also think maybe it's a diversion. Maybe it's a diversion from the 15-minute cities that they want to build, the end of the dollar, which is also the end of privacy, weird chemicals in the water. So I think that all these things are probably going to affect African Americans more than anybody else because pretty much every negative thing does. But instead of really, even if you were paying attention to any of this, what could you do except try to stock up or whatever, get close to God, seriously close, where you actually study and pray and try to figure out what he wants and then put his will above yours. Maybe this is a diversion from stopping the few people who might be interested in that from even paying attention. You know, I don't know. Like I said, I think that there's some spirituality behind even their names. And I truly think this has nothing to do with black women. Point, and I know that this is probably something 90% of the people will not agree with it. I understand, that's cool. I don't even think she is a black woman. Jada Pinkett? No, your average black woman does not have light eyes and straight hair and pale skin, beige skin. I'm sorry. No. If he wanted to say something about black women, I would be offended if he said you black women, but he didn't. He said her. He called her that. That's on her. I do not have to pick up every cause from somebody who says something about a woman who a few generations back had an African in there, somebody from the diaspora or something. I honestly don't even think she is black. But again, I recognize that's just my opinion. But, when rappers and stuff are singing about can't stand them black women, don't like that nappy hair and stuff, do people who look like her come out and say, you shouldn't say that? Well, they do say that. They don't say you shouldn't say it. They recognize it's not being addressed at them. So when he says something specifically to her, I have doesn't affect me. I mean, like I said, I'm a black woman. When you see me, you would think, okay, she's black, she's Caribbean, she's from some part of Africa or some other part of the black diaspora that identifies her as a member of the black race. I don't think Jada Pinkett is black. I think she's mixed. I think that there's a difference. And I know somebody will bring up her mother and say, look, her mother's black. I'd argue with that. She don't look black to me. She looks mixed. But, that's another story. But like I said, I do not find what he said offensive as a black woman because I think who he said it to was not a black woman. And like I said, I think he was right. And I think, like I said, I believe in family. Whatever group you in, yes, you defend that group until they say something crazy. No, that's why I don't join groups. Because if all of y'all jump up and start saying 2 plus 2 is 5, I ain't gonna be there with you. No, 2 plus 2 is not equal 5, and I'm not saying it just to make you happy. Not gonna do it. And I don't know. Maybe it's an Aquarius thing, but I feel the same way about what he said about Meghan Markle. The thing is, I believe you live your life in truth, so whether it is pleasant or not. And I think what he said about both Jada Pinkett Smith and Meghan Markle was pretty much true. For the most part, there's an exception, and I'll tell you that. But for the most part, where he said that Meghan Markle got the light skin lottery, yeah, she hit the lottery. And also about the stuff I didn't know. How can you read? No, that's just no, I don't even want to hear this. I think the thing is that he uncovered people's, I don't know, what they didn't want you to know. He comes right out and says it. And like he also stated, I wouldn't have said anything. I would not have brought up that Jada Pinkett Smith slept with her son's friend, except they brought it up. And, if you bring it up, how is he destroying your family by simply saying what you've already said? That doesn't make any sense. Is, of course, Meghan Markle and her husband, Prince Harry, or former Prince Harry, whatever. But in any case, like I said, look at her and then compare this phenotype to the slaves, the pictures of the slaves, drawings of the slaves or whatever as they got off the slave ships. This woman's not black. Her teacher in school said, well, since you look so white, don't even bother writing mixed or biracial, whatever, just write white. Why? Because she is. I mean, to me, this is ridiculous, putting everybody who has ever walked past a black person 200 years ago, 300, 400 years ago, saying that they are black. I think that is a way that other races try to maintain the dignity of their race and the indignity of ours. But even saying that will make people mad because the one thing I disagreed with, well, one of the things I disagreed with Chris Rock on was when he said that a it would be hard for a white woman to come to a black family for like a Thanksgiving dinner or something. I've never seen that. If anything, when a black man brings a white woman home, people cheer and go, oh, you got one, you moving on up. You know, that's because as a socially and economically, black people are at the bottom of the totem pole. And instead of saying, regardless of what this world says about me, I feel like I'm a child of God and I'm not going to just think that just because you say I suck doesn't mean I have to agree with it. But unfortunately, as an Aquarius, as the sign that has the fewest members in it, most people don't see it that way. So in that way, I did disagree with Chris Rock. I think he was just saying that to end that particular segment of his um, monologue on a point that most people would agree with. But no, most black people, you bring all the white, whatever, white, white Asian, white Hispanic, white, whatever you got, you bring it, and black people will be more than happy to see it, I was about to say especially if it's a woman, but I think it doesn't matter. Either way, black people are More than accepting of other races, we are thrilled to death to have someone who is of another race but professes to be our race, or who, if you looked at it percentage wise, has less than 25% African American or less than 10% African American, but still says that they are, because to a certain extent they don't have a choice. If they say, well, I was white on my thing, on the census or wherever, I told somebody, and they found out that my great grandfather was black, they're going to say, well, you're black too, unless you're extremely rich, maybe. I don't know. But in any case, I think it would be good if black people would start saying, well, just like you have to be a certain something in order to be in your race, we should have to be a certain something to be in ours, and that people who aren't are mixed. They're mixed. I don't see why that's such a major thing. But anyway, that's a little bit off subject. And like I said, basically it still sucks being an Aquarius. Yeah, sucks being an Aquarius. People will give up the monarchy for mixed, and people will jump up and jeopardize their whole career, jump up on stage and smack somebody in front of 50 million people for a mixed woman. This, I don't know, maybe this has happened to a woman that you could look at and say, oh, yes, that's definitely a black woman, as opposed to women you look at and go, I'm not sure. Somebody back there might have been black a few generations ago. You know, I don't know. The whole thing is just like I said, I do wonder if it's a diversion from other things that maybe we should be paying attention to, which is why I am paying attention to this now. But I think it's pretty sad. We have two people, two black men who managed to succeed against the odds, and one attacks the other. People take sides. Their names seem to have some sort of spiritual significance. It's just sad. And I really hope that nobody gets hurt any further, physically at least. And I hope that it ends soon. Because, shoot, you hit him, he verbally hit you back, which I think that if you hit somebody, you should kind of expect they're going to hit you back. Let's just end it. No more spitting, hitting. Y'all just leave each other alone. You done your due. But anyway, that's just how I feel. And, you know, let me apologize to the Most High, because He decides what time we get here. And He does decide some people come here as Aquarians. But in any case, it's not an easy assignment, but we have to bow to what the Father has for us. So you guys, you have a great rest of your day. It would be nice if you give me a like, but I know I'm not on here very much. I used to say I was going to do better, but and I think I'm probably banned, which I can even understand why they might do that. But I'm doing my best, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.